Hey guys, it's me again, and with the Texas Longhorns season starting in about 22 hours now, to be completely exact, I'm gonna do a video that I've been meaning to do, but just kept, I haven't really had the time for it, just kept pushing off, pushing off, pushing off. But now I have the schedule here, right in front of me. Okay, I'm gonna run through a quick synopsis of what I think the season's gonna go like, every fan um, probably goes through this on their own anyways. Starting out with Rice, obviously, Rice isn't really going to challenge Texas much. This is going to be a good game, though, because Rice has a pretty good running back, Sam McGuffey. He played for Michigan a couple years ago, 2008-2009 season when Michigan was really bad. So this will be sort of a good, fairly decent synopsis of how good Texas running defense is going to be, which obviously I think it's probably going to be pretty good. But this will sort of help us get a feel for it. So obviously I don't think that's going to happen. Then Wyoming, I've heard one prediction that says Wyoming is going to come into Austin and beat Texas, but let's get real. Wyoming isn't going to beat Texas. This last year Wyoming put up a pretty decent fight. Texas was only winning, I think it was 10-3 or something like that at halftime. But then they really just laid it on the second half and ended up killing Wyoming. But I really don't think Wyoming's going to prove to be too much of a test. I really believe Texas will roll in that one as well. Then, of course, maybe the first semi-challenge of the year, Texas Tech. Texas Tech had a good offense, really good all-around offense, but last year they didn't do a lot as far as testing Texas defensively. Texas put up 34 points. Colt did throw 2 interceptions in that game, but they were both off tipped passes by the receivers. So, and it's still early in the year where both teams are trying to find, their identity. So, it could be a little bit of a challenge, but I really just don't see Texas Tech's defense being enough to really slow the offense down enough to win the game, especially when Texas defense is, last year Potts threw for like 450 yards on us or something, but we forced him into, he was like 42 of 73 by the end of the game or something. So, you can't be that one-dimensional and still win a game in most cases. Um, at least not against a defense like Texas's. Not at least not against defense like Texas. Um, then of course UCLA. A lot of people are talking about how tough this game is going to be. UCLA used to be good, but they haven't been good since how long? How long has it been since they've really had a highly talented team that's been a competitor in the Pac-10? And the Big 12 is twice the conference the Pac-10 is. So if you can't compete in the Pac-10, then you're really probably, with the exception of last year, I should say, the Pac-10 ended up being pretty good last year. But if if you can't compete in the Pac-10, there's no way you're going to compete with consistently the best or second best team in the Big 12, like Texas. So there's no way that there's no way. So we're going to start season 4-0, I think, before our true test. Oklahoma, we're going to be playing Oklahoma, obviously on neutral field. I'm not positive whether or not this is in the Sugar Bowl. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's in the Sugar Bowl, if this is in Dallas Cowboys Stadium yet. But either way, it's gonna be a neutral site in Texas, in Dallas. But at any rate, it's gonna be the battle of two young quarterbacks, two sophomores, highly talented coming out of high school, trying to fill the shoes of maybe the two best quarterbacks ever in the history of these programs. Um, I think at OU, or excuse me, in Texas, there's really no doubt that Colt McCoy is the best quarterback. He never won a championship. Vince Young did. He never won a Heisman, but there's really no doubt. Colt McCoy broke every passing record he could have possibly broken, and he broke the majority of those at the beginning of his junior season. So, obviously, he's the best quarterback in Texas history, and my favorite by far, too. I love this guy to death. I don't really know a whole lot about Oklahoma's background historically as far as guys they've had in their past, but from what I've seen from and heard from guys, um, Bradford probably was one of the top quarterbacks in the history of Oklahoma, to say the least. And now, excuse me. And now these two quarterbacks, Garrett Gilbert, Landry Jones, there's a lot less question marks where he's coming from because he played so much last year. And he played against Texas. He obviously, freshman quarterback playing against a defense like Texas, yeah, he struggled. But he actually did a pretty good job against us. The offense, both offenses really just, they were atrocious. But both defense really came to play. And Landry Jones really played a good game against Texas, showed a lot of character as well. So there's a lot less question marks where he's coming from because he played through the entirety of last year and well. He played well. He had a couple games, but any freshman quarterback would. Garrett Gilbert, a lot of Texas fans are confident about him, including myself. And he threw 4 interceptions in the championship game, but I gotta hurry along here. Anyways, so it's hard to say where that one's going to go. It could go either way, but probably going to have to give the upper hand to Oklahoma because they just have less question marks coming into the season. Then, of course, Nebraska. It was a doozy last year. At in the Big 12 championship game at Cowboy Stadium. But what happened in the end was Texas offense just came through enough to get them in the field goal range there. And obviously, the kickoff out of bounds and the horse collar, the penalties. But, they got the one long, what was that, there's a 24-yard pass to Shipley. The offense came through enough. This year, no Adama McSue to give those 4.5 sacks that he had in that game. He was one-man wrecking crew. The rest of the defense, yeah, they played well. They picked off McCoy 3 times. But they lost to their offense isn't going to be any better than it was last year. I just don't think the offense is going to be good enough to come through with a win, even though it's at home. Obviously, they play at home against Iowa State. I really don't see this one being a big enough test to Texas off. Iowa State really, I'm going to be honest with you, there's a reason that they're sort of being tossed to the wayside with teams like Colorado and other teams in the Big 12 that just haven't produced enough. Baylor, it's a rivalry because Texas kills Baylor every year. That's the only reason it's a rivalry. They lead this rivalry by over 50 victories. And, that's just a rough thing. I'm pretty sure Texas owns the rivalry by more than that. Baylor's not going to take down Texas. At Kansas State, some of us Texas fans are a little worried about this because they only played Kansas State twice. Colt McCoy got injured the first 2 times. One game he played through the injury anyways. Threw 4 picks. That was in 2007-2008 season. But in the end, I think that it's about what's happening now and not what's happened before. Texas is probably going to roll with this one. Oklahoma State, they lost a lot off their offense last year, and they didn't have that good of a defense. So they're going to have a good running back, but that's about it. I think Texas will roll this with Floyd Atlantic. What else do I need to say? They obviously won't have the horses to play at Texas and beat them. A&M, they've got a really good offense coming in, but they don't have the defense to go along with it. Great offense, maybe the best in the Big 12, but they don't have the defense to go along with it. This one should be all horns. Fiesta Bowl bound. Hook 'em horns. All the way.